Welcome back. I'm really glad you're here today, because what we're about to talk about might quietly change the direction of your entire life. Today, I want to sit with you for a few minutes and talk about something simple, but powerful. Not complicated strategies, not overnight success. Just one core truth that separates people who drift from people who design their lives. And that truth is this: set a clear goal. It sounds basic, but don't underestimate it. This one decision can redraw your future. Let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever felt busy all day, exhausted at night, and still unsure if you actually moved forward? That feeling is heavy. You're doing things, checking boxes, attending meetings, handling responsibilities, but deep inside there's a quiet question: where is this all going? That question appears when you don't have a clear target. When your goal isn't clear, your energy becomes scattered. You start saying yes to things that don't matter. You chase opportunities that look shiny but don't align with anything meaningful. You compare yourself to others because you don't have your own destination defined. And slowly, without realizing it, you start living on autopilot. A clear goal changes that completely. It acts like a compass in a storm. Even when life feels chaotic, you know which direction is yours. You stop moving just to stay busy, and you start moving with intention. Every action either brings you closer or it doesn't, and that clarity gives you power. Most people are not failing because they are incapable. They are failing because they are unfocused. Their effort is real, but it's divided. And divided effort rarely produces extraordinary results. When you focus on one defined target, your mind begins to align with it. Your habits begin to shift toward it. Your decisions become sharper. Think about a magnifying glass under the sun. When the light is scattered, nothing happens. But when it's focused on one small point, it can create fire. Your mind works the same way. Focused on one clear goal, it becomes unstoppable. Scattered across 10 vague desires, it stays average. Setting a clear goal forces you to answer difficult questions. What do I truly want? Why does it matter to me? How much am I willing to sacrifice? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are necessary. Because without clarity, you remain reactive to life instead of becoming the creator of it. And here's something powerful to understand. The moment you define your goal clearly, your brain starts working differently. You begin noticing resources, people, ideas, and opportunities that were always there but invisible before. It's not magic, it's focus. Your mind starts filtering reality based on what you've decided matters. So before we go any further, pause for a second. If you had to choose one meaningful goal for the next year, just one, what would it be? Not what sounds impressive, not what others expect. What truly matters to you? That single answer could be the beginning of everything changing. Let's go deeper, because setting a clear goal is not just about writing a sentence on paper. It's about making a decision that shifts your identity, and identity is powerful. When you decide clearly what you are building, you stop behaving like someone who is trying, and you start behaving like someone who is becoming. Think about how most people approach their lives. They wake up and react. They react to notifications, to emails, to other people's priorities. They move through the day solving small problems, but they rarely pause to ask the bigger question: is this leading me toward the life I actually want? Without a clear goal, you can solve problems your entire life and still feel unfulfilled. A clear goal forces alignment. Suddenly, your time matters more. You begin to guard it. You begin to see distractions for what they are. You start asking yourself before every commitment, does this help me move forward? And if the answer is no, you slowly learn to say no. That's when growth begins. There's something psychological happening here that you need to understand. The human brain loves certainty. When your future is vague, your brain feels anxious. It keeps scanning for danger, for comparison, for validation. That's why you scroll social media and feel behind. That's why you look at others and question yourself. But when your goal is clear, your brain relaxes into direction. It knows what to look for. It knows what to ignore. Let me share a story with you. There was a man named Rowan who worked in a stable corporate job. Good salary, respectable title, but every Sunday night, he felt a quiet dread. He couldn't explain it. Nothing was terribly wrong. But nothing felt deeply right either. He told himself he should be grateful. Yet something inside him kept whispering that he was capable of more. One evening, instead of ignoring that whisper, he listened to it. He sat down with a notebook and asked himself, if fear was not a factor, what would I build? The answer surprised him. He wanted to create a consulting service helping small businesses grow online. He had years of experience, but he had never considered turning it into something of his own. At first, the goal scared him. It felt risky, it felt uncertain, but he made it clear. Within 2 years, I will build a consulting business that replaces my full-time income. Specific, measurable, time-bound. The moment he wrote that down, his behavior shifted. He stopped wasting weekends. He started learning marketing deeply. He began networking intentionally. Instead of mindlessly consuming content, he consumed with purpose. Every book he read, every video he watched, was connected to his goal. Did it happen overnight? No. He faced rejection. He had slow months. He doubted himself more times than he could count. But the difference was this: he was no longer drifting. He was building. And building, even slowly, feels different than wandering. This is what clarity does. It turns frustration into focus. It turns anxiety into action. It transforms random effort into strategic movement. Now let's talk about something important. When you set a clear goal, you will feel resistance. That resistance can come from inside you or from the people around you. Internally, your mind will question your capability. It will remind you of past failures. It will magnify risks. Externally, people may project their fears onto you. They may say, be realistic. They may say, why not stay safe? But understand this: resistance is not a sign you're wrong. It's often a sign you're growing. Your comfort zone is quiet and predictable. Growth is loud and uncertain. When you set a clear goal, you are stepping out of comfort and into expansion. That's why it feels uncomfortable. But discomfort is the price of transformation. There's another psychological insight you need to hear. Goals give meaning to struggle. Without a goal, struggle feels pointless. Long hours feel exhausting. Rejection feels personal. Failure feels final. But with a goal, struggle becomes part of the story. It becomes necessary. It becomes fuel. Imagine training for a marathon. The early mornings are hard. The muscle soreness is real. The discipline is demanding. But because you know the race date, because you know the finish line, the pain makes sense. You endure it with pride. That's the power of a defined destination. In life, it's the same. If you don't define your race, every challenge feels unfair. If you define your race, challenges feel expected. Let's bring this closer to you. Maybe your goal is financial freedom. Maybe it's improving your health. Maybe it's building a creative career. Maybe it's becoming a better parent, a better partner, a better version of yourself. Whatever it is, the clarity must be sharp. Not I want more money. Instead, I will increase my income by 30% within 12 months by developing this specific skill. Not I want to be healthier. Instead, I will exercise 4 times a week and reduce my body fat by this percentage in 6 months. Not I want success. Instead, define what success looks like for you. Because what gets measured gets improved. And here's something that might challenge you. You cannot chase everything at once. When you try to pursue 5 big goals simultaneously, you dilute your power. Focus creates intensity. Intensity creates results. You don't need a perfect 10-year master plan right now. You need one clear direction for this season of your life. Seasons change, goals evolve, but in this moment, choose one mountain to climb. There's also an emotional side to this journey that no one talks about enough. When you commit to a clear goal, you will outgrow certain environments. You may feel lonely at times. You may feel misunderstood. But growth often requires temporary isolation. Remember this: clarity may reduce your crowd, but it increases your confidence. As you move forward, you'll start noticing something powerful. The small decisions begin to align. You wake up earlier because it serves your goal. You spend differently because it serves your goal. You choose your circle wisely because it serves your goal. Your life starts organizing itself around what matters most. And that's when momentum begins. Momentum is magical. It's when effort starts compounding. It's when progress becomes visible. It's when self-doubt slowly gets replaced by self-belief. But momentum only comes after commitment. And commitment only comes after clarity. Let me say something directly to you right now. You are not behind. You are not incapable. You are not too late. But you may be unclear. And that's fixable. Stop waiting for motivation to strike you like lightning. Motivation is unreliable. Clarity is stable. When your goal is clear, you act even when you don't feel like it. Because you're not driven by mood anymore. You're driven by mission. Picture yourself 1 year from today. Imagine looking back at this moment. What would make you proud? What achievement would make you say, "I'm glad I decided"? That image is not fantasy. It's a possibility waiting for direction. There will be days when progress feels invisible. Days when you question if it's worth it. On those days, return to your reason. Why did you choose this goal? Who does it impact? What kind of person are you becoming through this process? Because the real transformation is not just in achieving the goal. It's in who you become while pursuing it. Discipline sharpens you. Focus strengthens you. Patience matures you. Failure teaches you. A clear goal becomes the training ground for your character. And character is what sustains success. Many people achieve things accidentally and lose them quickly. But when you build something through focused intention, you develop the mindset to maintain it. So as you move forward from this moment, understand that setting a clear goal is not about pressure. It's about purpose. It's about giving your energy a direction. It's about waking up with intention instead of confusion. You don't need to shout your goal to the world. You don't need validation from everyone around you. You need quiet commitment. You need daily action. You need resilience. Clarity is not loud. It's steady. And if you truly commit to one defined target, if you protect it, work toward it, adjust when necessary, and refuse to quit when it gets uncomfortable, I promise you something powerful will happen. You will stop doubting your potential, because nothing builds belief like progress toward a clear goal. So right now, in this moment, don't just feel inspired. Decide. Decide what you're building. Decide what you're improving. Decide what you're leaving behind. Make it specific. Make it meaningful. Make it yours. This is the point where drifting ends and direction begins. Let me take you somewhere deeper, somewhere quieter. Because once you set a clear goal and you understand its importance, the real battle begins inside your mind. This is the part nobody claps for. This is the part where you're alone with your thoughts at night, questioning yourself. And this is where most people give up, not because the goal is impossible, but because the mind becomes loud. When you decide on a clear goal, you are not just choosing a destination, you are declaring war on your old habits. And your old habits will not disappear quietly. They will fight back. They will whisper things like, "You can start tomorrow." They will remind you of comfort. They will tempt you with distraction. That's normal. That's human. Understand something powerful about your brain. It is wired for survival, not success. Survival loves routine. It loves safety. It avoids risk. So the moment you choose a big, clear goal, your brain interprets it as uncertainty. And uncertainty feels dangerous. That's why fear shows up. But fear is not a stop sign. It's a signal that you're stepping into growth. Let me tell you about someone named Kevya. She always dreamed of becoming a public speaker. Every time she watched someone confidently speak on stage, something inside her lit up. But she also had a deep fear of being judged. In school, she once forgot her lines during a presentation, and the laughter from that day stayed with her for years. For a long time, she told herself, "Maybe I'm just not that type of person." She kept her dream vague. One day, maybe, but one day is the safest lie we tell ourselves. It protects us from trying. Then one day she got tired of shrinking herself. She set a clear goal: within 1 year, I will deliver a live talk in front of at least 100 people. That sentence terrified her, but it also excited her. The first step wasn't a big stage, it was joining a small speaking group. The first time she stood up, her hands shook. Her voice trembled, but she didn't quit. Every week, she practiced. Every month, she improved. She studied communication. She recorded herself. She faced the discomfort repeatedly. Was she perfect after a few months? No, but she was different. The fear that once controlled her began to lose power. And 11 months later, she stood on a stage in front of 120 people. Her heart was racing, but this time, she didn't shrink. She delivered her message, and when the applause came, it wasn't just applause for the speech. It was applause for her courage. Here's what you need to understand from her story. The clear goal didn't just change her outcome, it changed her identity. She stopped seeing herself as someone who is bad at speaking. She started seeing herself as someone who is learning to speak. That shift is everything. When you set a clear goal, you give yourself permission to evolve. You stop labeling yourself by your past. You start defining yourself by your direction. Many people are trapped not by their circumstances, but by their self-image. They say, "I'm not disciplined, I'm not smart enough, I'm not lucky." But those are stories repeated so often that they feel like facts. A clear goal challenges those stories. If your goal is to get in shape, you begin acting like someone who values health. If your goal is to build wealth, you begin acting like someone who manages money wisely. If your goal is to write a book, you begin acting like a writer even before the world calls you one. Identity follows action. And action follows clarity. Now let's talk about the days when motivation disappears. Because they will come. There will be mornings when you don't feel inspired. There will be evenings when you're tired and tempted to skip the work. This is where many people misunderstand success. They think successful people are always motivated. That's not true. Successful people are committed. Motivation is emotional. Commitment is decision-based. When you have a clear goal, you don't rely on how you feel. You rely on what you decided. You remind yourself, "I chose this." And that reminder is powerful. Because choosing means ownership. You are not forced. You are not trapped. You chose this path. There's strength in that. Let me bring this closer to your life. Maybe you are trying to save money, but your friends invite you out constantly. Maybe you are trying to study, but your phone keeps calling your attention. Maybe you are trying to start something new, but your family doubts you. These moments test your clarity. If your goal is weak, you will bend easily. If your goal is strong and specific, you will stand firm. Clarity strengthens discipline, and discipline builds freedom. That might sound strange, but think about it. When you discipline yourself today, you create options tomorrow. When you stay focused today, you open doors later. The pain of discipline is temporary. The regret of inaction can last years. There's also something else that happens when you commit deeply to a clear goal. You begin to respect yourself more. Every small promise you keep builds trust with yourself. And self-trust is one of the most powerful forms of confidence. Most people don't lack talent. They lack self-trust. They've broken so many promises to themselves that they no longer believe their own words. "I'll start Monday. I'll wake up early tomorrow. I'll stop procrastinating." When those promises are repeatedly broken, your inner voice becomes weaker. But when you set a clear goal and take consistent action, even small action, you rebuild that trust. And when you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. Here's a reflection for you. Think about a time when you truly committed to something and followed through. Remember how strong you felt. Remember the pride. That feeling didn't come from external validation. It came from internal alignment. A clear goal aligns your thoughts, words, and actions. You stop saying one thing and doing another. You stop dreaming one way and living another way. You begin moving in harmony with your intention. And that harmony creates peace. Let's be real for a moment. The journey toward any meaningful goal will involve setbacks. You will make mistakes. You will miscalculate. You will fail at certain steps. But failure is information. It tells you what to adjust. Without a goal, failure feels like proof that you're not good enough. With a goal, failure feels like feedback. That mindset shift changes everything. Instead of asking, "Why am I like this?" you ask, "What can I improve?" Instead of saying, "Maybe this isn't for me," you say, "What strategy should I change?" That's growth. And growth is addictive. Once you taste it, you start enjoying the process. You start appreciating the discipline. You start seeing challenges as training. And slowly, almost without noticing, you become stronger than the person who once doubted whether to begin. So as you continue on this journey of setting a clear goal, remember this: the external result is important, yes. But the internal transformation is priceless. The confidence, the resilience, the clarity of thought, the courage to try again. These are gifts that stay with you long after you reach your target. And one day, you'll look back at the moment you decided to define your goal clearly. You'll realize that was the turning point, not because everything became easy, but because you stopped living by default and started living by design. That's the real victory. Now, we arrive at the part that separates dreamers from doers. Because once you've set a clear goal and faced the internal battles, the next step is simple but not easy. It's execution. Daily, consistent, sometimes boring execution. This is where reality tests your seriousness. It's exciting to write a goal in a notebook. It's powerful to visualize your future. But the real transformation happens in ordinary days. Quiet mornings, tired evenings, moments when no one is watching. That's where your future is built. Let me tell you something most people don't realize. Big results are rarely created by big actions. They are created by small actions repeated consistently. If your goal is to write a book, it's not about one weekend of intense inspiration. It's about writing 500 words a day, even when you don't feel creative. If your goal is to get fit, it's not about one extreme workout. It's about showing up 3 to 4 times every single week. If your goal is to build wealth, it's not about one lucky investment. It's about consistent saving, learning, and smart decisions over time. Consistency looks boring from the outside, but it looks powerful from the inside. Here's where most people sabotage themselves. They expect fast results. They want visible progress quickly. And when they don't see it, they assume it's not working. But growth is often invisible in the beginning. Think about planting a seed. You water it daily. You protect it. For weeks, nothing seems to happen above the ground. But under the soil, roots are forming. Strength is developing. Foundation is building. If you stop watering because you don't see immediate results, you kill the process. Your goals work the same way. There will be phases where it feels like nothing is changing. But if you are consistent, something is happening beneath the surface. Skills are improving. Habits are strengthening. Discipline is growing. Let's talk practically now. Once your goal is clear, break it down into monthly targets. Then weekly actions. Then daily tasks. Don't wake up asking, how do I achieve this huge goal? Wake up asking, what is one thing I must complete today that moves me forward? Clarity reduces overwhelm. Overwhelm often comes from looking too far ahead. When you stare at the entire mountain, it feels impossible. But when you focus on the next step, it feels manageable. And here's something powerful: track your progress. Write it down, measure it, review it weekly. Not to judge yourself but to adjust yourself. Tracking creates awareness. Awareness creates improvement. There's also something else you must protect: your environment. If your goal is serious, your environment must support it. That might mean changing your schedule, reducing distractions, limiting time with people who drain your ambition. It might mean waking up earlier. It might mean going to bed when others are scrolling. Environment shapes behavior more than motivation ever will. If you're trying to eat healthy but your kitchen is full of junk food, willpower will eventually lose. If you're trying to focus but your phone is always in your hand, distraction will win. Design your environment to make success easier. Now let's address another truth. At some point, you will feel tired. Not physically tired but mentally tired. You'll question whether the effort is worth it. You'll see others taking shortcuts. You'll be tempted to relax your standards. This is where your why becomes critical. Why did you choose this goal? Who benefits when you succeed? What kind of person are you trying to become? Your why is emotional fuel. When discipline feels heavy, your purpose keeps you moving. Let me share a short story here. There was a single mother named Anita who decided to go back to school at 32. Her goal was clear: earn her degree within 4 years so she could provide better stability for her child. She worked during the day and studied at night. There were evenings when she felt completely exhausted. Her friends told her it was too much. Some days she believed them. But every time she wanted to quit, she looked at her child sleeping. That image reminded her of her reason. It wasn't just about a degree. It was about breaking a cycle. It was about showing her child what determination looks like. 4 years later, she walked across that graduation stage holding back tears. Not because it was easy, but because she didn't give up when it was hard. Execution requires emotional strength, and emotional strength grows through repetition. Another important thing: expect setbacks. If you think your journey will be smooth, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. There will be delays, mistakes, unexpected problems. That's not a sign to quit. That's part of the process. When you hit a setback, don't say, "This is not working." Ask, "What can I learn from this?" Adjust, adapt, continue. Flexibility is strength. The goal stays the same. The strategy can change. And remember this: perfection is not required. Progress is. You don't need perfect days. You need consistent effort. Some days you'll give 100%. Some days you'll give 60%. But keep showing up. Because every time you show up, you reinforce your identity. You become someone who doesn't quit. You become someone who follows through. You become someone who builds instead of complains. That identity shift is more valuable than the goal itself. As you execute daily, something subtle will happen. You'll start feeling different about yourself. You'll feel more focused, more disciplined, more confident. Not because life suddenly became easier, but because you're proving to yourself that you can handle difficulty. That's power. And here's a mindset that will change everything. Fall in love with the process. If you only love the outcome, you'll suffer during the journey. But if you learn to appreciate the daily work, the learning, the growth, the repetition, you'll enjoy the climb. The mountain doesn't become smaller. You become stronger. So as you move forward from here, remember this: clear goal, small daily actions, protected environment, emotional reason, adjusted strategy, consistent execution. No drama, no excuses, no waiting for perfect conditions. Just steady movement, one day at a time. And one day, without even realizing it, you'll look back and see how far you've come. Not because you were lucky, not because it was easy, but because you were clear and you didn't stop. Now we come to the most important moment. Not the moment when you achieve the goal. Not the moment when others clap for you, but this moment, right now. The moment where you decide who you are going to be. Because everything we've talked about, clarity, discipline, execution, resilience, it all means nothing if you don't choose. Let me speak to you directly. There are two versions of you living inside your mind. One version wants comfort. It wants safety. It wants to delay. It says, maybe later, maybe when things calm down, maybe when I feel more ready. That version is soft, familiar, and convincing. The other version is quiet but powerful. It says, enough. I'm capable of more. It doesn't shout. It doesn't argue. It simply waits for you to listen. Setting a clear goal is choosing the second version. It's drawing a line in your own life and saying, from here forward, I move with direction. And here's something beautiful about that decision. The world may not change instantly. Your circumstances may not shift tomorrow, but you will change immediately. Your posture changes. Your focus sharpens. Your time becomes valuable. You stop drifting through your days and start designing them. Think about how powerful that is. Most people wait for a breakthrough moment to transform them. But transformation rarely arrives dramatically. It begins quietly with a decision written on paper and backed by action. 5 years from now, you will either thank yourself for the clarity you chose today, or you will wish you had been brave enough to commit. There is no neutral outcome. Time will move either way. The only question is whether you will move with it or be carried by it. Picture your future self standing in front of you right now, stronger, more confident, more accomplished. That version of you is not a fantasy. It is a result. A result of daily choices connected to a clear goal. Your future self is built by your present discipline. Let that sink in. No one is coming to rescue your potential. No one will accidentally hand you your dream life. If you want something meaningful, you must define it. If you want growth, you must choose it. If you want change, you must act on it. And here's the truth that gives me goosebumps every time. You are capable of more than you have allowed yourself to believe. Not because I'm trying to motivate you with empty words, but because human beings are designed to adapt, to learn, to expand. The only thing that keeps most people small is lack of direction. Once direction is clear, power follows. There will still be hard days. There will still be doubt, but now doubt won't control you. It will visit, but it won't stay, because you have something stronger than doubt. You have intention. And intention turns ordinary people into extraordinary examples. When you set a clear goal and pursue it relentlessly, you inspire others without even trying. Your discipline becomes contagious. Your focus becomes admirable. Your growth becomes proof that change is possible. And maybe, just maybe, someone watching you will decide to set their own clear goal because of your courage. That's how impact spreads. But don't chase impact. Chase alignment. Chase growth. Chase the version of you that sleeps peacefully at night because you know you gave your best. Let me leave you with this. One day, you will look back at your life. Not at your excuses, not at your distractions, but at your decisions, the goals you set, the risks you took, the persistence you showed. And in that reflection, you will either feel pride or regret. Regret whispers, I could have. Pride says, I did. Choose the sentence you want to live with. Set a clear goal. Make it real. Give it a deadline. Break it down. Show up daily. Adjust when needed. Protect your focus. Strengthen your discipline. And absolutely refuse to let temporary discomfort steal a permanent transformation. This is your life. Not a rehearsal. Not a draft. The real thing. And the moment you decide with clarity, the moment you stop wandering and start aiming, you become dangerous in the best possible way. Focused, intentional, unstoppable. So don't leave this as just another motivational message you listen to. Pause. Think. Decide. Write it down. And start. Your future is not waiting for luck. It is waiting for direction. Set a clear goal. And then become the person who makes it inevitable. If this message spoke to you, if something inside you shifted even a little while listening to this, then don't let this be where it ends. Hit subscribe and become part of a community that chooses growth over excuses, clarity over confusion, and action over delay. Every week, we build stronger mindsets, sharper focus, and real discipline together. Your goals deserve consistency, and so does your inspiration. Subscribe now, and let's keep moving forward, one clear decision at a time.